A deadly battle ensues, with people getting scattered all over the place by a wild force. A dragon is seen attacking a group of adventurers, but he questions himself subconsciously about his actions. He stands guard at a shrine-like gate, with adventurers flocking all over him in an attempt to slay him. An assassin points out to the group leader that the tail of the dragon is creating a hindrance while he scrutinizes him for not being able to take care of his measly tail. All the adventurers try to cut off its tail, but the dragon whips them away with a volley of tailspins. The dragon eliminates another member of the group, whose name is revealed to be Crimson Blood. The dragon exclaims in his mind that he did it, but he also states that it wasn't according to his will. Suddenly, a giant orb-like eye appears and states that the adventurers are its enemy, but he doesn't feel any enmity towards them. It is revealed that the objective of the Crimson Blood group was to take down the gold-armored sword dragon and open the gate to the 8th floor. The orb reveals that it's heaven's mandate that the dragon fall to the adventurers, but this is questioned by the dragon himself. The dragon questions the orb once again about heaven's mandate, but it fails to respond to him. The dragon then realizes that he must have killed the orb with the rage that gathered in his mind at that point in time. The dragon reassures himself that there really is no point in following the heaven's mandate at this point, and he knows exactly what to do with all the adventurers who have come looking for the entrance of the 8th floor. However, he wonders about more reasons to do things differently than he did in the past with other such adventurers. Suddenly, an epiphany hits the dragon, and he questions his position at the gate and wonders what would happen if he abandoned his post altogether. The dragon continues to swing his tail, which is followed by mass destruction everywhere it goes. A girl with a spear in her hand questions her decision to follow the Crimson Blood group and wonders if it's even possible to defeat the dragon. The dragon stares directly at the girl and gets covered in a blanket of golden light. The dragon then unleashes massive slashes of energy which hit all the adventurers surrounding it. The girl exclaims that everything is going haywire as the dragon is supposed to be in its first phase, but it has evidently started mutating already. Suddenly, another slash of energy starts moving towards the girl, and she takes a defensive pose to protect herself from it. However, as the energy reaches the girl, it weakens and vanishes into the air. The girl considers herself lucky that the energy vanished just before it hit her, as she was sure to die if she got hit. The girl then reveals that the dragon was supposed to mutate after 75% of its health was scrapped away, but it did not take long for him to mutate this time. She looks over at other members of the raiding party, who are all on the floor due to taking hits from the last attacks. The girl gets nervous and wonders what she must do in order to survive, as no one told her that the situation was going to turn out like this. She concludes that the dragon has run into some kind of bug while going for a piece of paper on her forearm. She releases the paper, citing the words, "She must make sure of her own survival first." The paper hits the ground and emits a light, revealing that it's some kind of talisman with magic energy stored in it. The girl shouts return in an attempt to flee the battlefield through a blur portal that has opened, but she is baffled as someone gets to the teleportation circle before her. She wonders if there are other survivors as the portal closes. She wonders about the strange man, whom she has never even seen before. She opens another portal and travels to a safe location, only to be greeted by the same person who stole her portal. The man in the golden armor cites that it's rather cramped up at the girl's place. We then get to see the full view of the armed warrior, who proclaims that the girl will act as her guide. The girl is confused upon seeing a strange man standing in her living room and reaffirms whether what she heard was right by asking the warrior what he said. The warrior replies that he was successful in getting away from the 7th floor, which he describes in some weird numerical way. He also reveals that this is his first time out in the human world, and thus he requires a guide to help him move forward. He asked the girl to be her guide specifically because she was nearby and asked her to lead the way, which made her confused. She reasons with herself in her mind and contemplates what the crazy, flashy guy actually means. She deems the person to be a bit dangerous, and uses her eye's skillful detection to look over at the mysterious man in an effort to find out his true identity. She closes one of her eyes and stares at the warrior for a while. She ultimately sees a red aura surrounding the golden armored warrior, and concludes that the warrior is a bad guy. She gets worried as she gets involved in something that wasn't supposed to be happening. She tries to get away, stating that she stepped on a landmine by stepping back a bit, but crashes onto the closed door as she tries to leave the room. In a state of anxiety, she asks the warrior to pardon her and asks for his name. The girl stands at the door, shivering, while the warrior confirms if she's really asking who he is. The warrior answers that he's born from the abyss. The girl lets out a whispering damn, while the warrior asks if that statement was enough of an introduction. He again answers the same question, stating that he's an irrational existence that escaped from a rational world, and asks if that explanation is okay. The girl gets a bit frustrated and asks herself if the guy is actually suffering from middle school syndrome. She clarifies herself and specifically asks for the name of the warrior this time around. The girl contemplates that the aim of the game she's currently playing is to emulate reality as much as possible, which could be the cause of this situation. However, she reaffirms herself that a game is supposed to be a game and that the warrior must have a name. The warrior then reveals that the Heaven's Mandate stated that his identity was the gold-armored sword dragon, the guardian of the abyss. The girl confirms if he's really related to the dragon on the 7th floor, and the dragon confirms her suspicions. He cites that he was a dragon up until a short while ago, which is not the case anymore. The girl asks him what he actually means, and the dragon explains that he has been reborn. He further elaborates that he doesn't identify as his past self anymore, as the dragon before and he now are two separate identities. The girl thinks that the dragon is joking and rhetorically asks that he died and miraculously got back to life, which is replied to in negation by the dragon. He elaborates that precisely 36 minutes ago he became sentient, as before that he did not have an idea of who he was. He states that calling this a rebirth is not actually the wrong way to put it. The girl starts pulling her hair in frustration, thinking that the dragon is spewing nonsense. She then tries to make sense of the situation, thinking that all of this could be some kind of translation error. She grins a bit and consoles herself that she's at least not dealing with a knife-wielding weirdo, and that the person is much more reasonable. The dragon stands confused at one end of the room while the girl chuckles while hatching a plan in her mind. She then realizes that the dragon basically admitted to being the bad guy from the 7th floor and tries to be wary of him as he can be potentially dangerous. She then thinks that a monster wouldn't just take human form and go on a rampage, as he also mentioned that he wanted her to be his guide in the first place. Meanwhile, some other surviving members of the Crimson Blood group are conjured up along with the leader. The leader looks at his hand in disgrace while the other members cry out loud about the equipment and money they lost during the unsuccessful quest. The leader realizes that their guild has suffered a lot in terms of overall power as the other player relays to him that the rumor of losing items on floor 7 was true after all. The members ask the leader what they should do, as they are running quite low on budget. The leader covers his face with his hands and says that all of this is happening because of the girl named Dorothy. He remembers that he added her to his attack force by taking pity on her, but she betrayed them and ran away. He then remembers that they certainly had time and resources while they were dying on the 7th floor. But it all went down the drain as Dorothy decided to run away using the talisman. The leader states that he saw another person next to Dorothy, but cannot point out exactly who he was. The girl reveals that he had a sparkly getup. The leader gets an epiphany and exclaims that everything is not over yet. Meanwhile, Dorothy mistakenly believes the dragon's reincarnation to be a unique quest. She starts daydreaming about the rewards, as unique quests have hefty prizes. The dragon once again asks if Dorothy needs a better introduction, but she instructs the dragon to hold on for just a second. She walks towards the dragon and confirms with him if the offer for her to be his guide still stands, to which he replies an affirmation. She asks where he needs to go, but the dragon is confused and asks her to guide him in regards to finding a name as well. Dorothy gets irritated, stating that only she gets such pathetic and hard quests. She agrees to be the dragon's guide and asks if he's familiar with the concept of give and take. She further explains that he can consider this the ultimate law, which allows no exception. She puts her hand in front of the dragon and states her proposal. She informs him that in order for her to be his guide, he'll have to compensate with either money or items, otherwise she won't guide him. She thinks that by doing this, she can actually test out if the quest has some interesting awards, otherwise she'll just be wasting her time on it. She thinks about other people who would do such quests for the heck of it and considers them to be perverts, all while she and the dragon stand in an eye lock. However, a thought suddenly hits Dorothy's mind about the behavior of the dragon. She contemplates that earlier he was replying to her swiftly, like a computer program, but this time around he is taking a lot of time to answer. The dragon replies that he has no information on the money and items he currently has on him after thinking for a while. This irritates Dorothy, who blurts out loud that the dragon's actually broken. However, upon taking a second look at the dragon, she notices something worthy. Her eyes start hovering over the shiny armor of the dragon, and she concludes that an item of such brilliant looks must be worth a ton. She contemplates that selling even a piece of that armor would fetch her a lot of money, as he's the boss of the 7th level after all. The dragon cites that he questioned himself about the concept of money and what possessing items actually means. This irritates Dorothy once again, as she thinks that he's just talking gibberish now. The dragon then goes on to give very detailed information about money and items and how both of these things work in this world, which totally confuses Dorothy as she contemplates that she has no idea what the dragon is talking about. Suddenly, the dragon starts conjuring golden ingots out of thin air, which blows Dorothy's mind away. He starts flooding the room with ingots as Dorothy asks him to stop. Dorothy collects all the coins and asks the dragon if he can give her some more after the quest ends, to which he replies that he can conjure up as much as she wants. Dorothy then goes on to compare her situation to stepping on poop, but that poop turned out to be made of gold. She gets determined to push her gaming career by using the NPC dragon to fuel her personal goals. She exclaims that they have a deal and moves her hand forward to initiate a handshake. She introduces herself as Dorothy, but the dragon reveals that he cannot actually say her name out loud. Dorothy exclaims that the problem might be in the name, as it is not Murim style, because she usually uses this name for all the games. The dragon shakes her hand, stating that it's very frustrating to not be able to speak. However, the dragon is concerned as he's also not able to speak the word game. She asks the dragon if he knows how many players will willingly follow the game guide to name their characters, to which the dragon replies vaguely. Dorothy then cites that it doesn't matter if he's unable to speak her name, as they'll never see each other again once this is all over, while the dragon still tries to speak her name. She asks the dragon if he has any areas of interest, and he answers that he wants to know what the logic is behind humans and objects. Dorothy gets fed up with the dragon and his weird questions about logic and whatnot, but she strives to finish the quest in an attempt to get the golden ingots. She then reveals that if he wants to know about humans and objects, there is no better place than the market. She takes him outside to the town of Hangmok. She explains that she couldn't get out of it due to her poverty, which is a direct result of her being a solo player. She states that it's not bad for him to look around a bit, but they should first get something to eat. Suddenly, all the NPCs start shivering with fear. Dorothy realizes that they only do this when an attack event is supposed to start. She then realizes that it's all because of the energy being exhumed from the dragon, which is making them tremble in terror. The dragon realizes that the Pugins here aren't able to withstand his aura. Dorothy asks the dragon if he can get rid of the aura, to which he replies that it's impossible as it's a part of him. However, he reveals that he can suppress it and does so immediately, which makes everything go back to normal. As they are about to leave, they are confronted by the group leader, whose name is revealed to be Jeok Chan-Woon. Jeok Chan-Woon instantly realizes that the man standing beside Dorothy is the boss of the 7th floor. Dorothy greets Jeok Chan-Woon with respect but contemplates in her mind that she should have cut ties with the tough bastard ages ago. However, she couldn't do it because he was the only person she knew in the game. She analyzes the situation, concluding that Jeok Chan-Woon is pissed because everyone died and lost their items while she survived. Suddenly, a lot of Crimson Blood members show up out of nowhere and surround her and the dragon. Jeok Chan-Woon and her team members state that it's been a while since they met her, and it's nice to finally greet her in person. Dorothy gets sweaty as she realizes that the Crimson Blood group has figured something out. She concludes that he must be serious about everything as he brought the whole gang with him. However, Dorothy decides that she isn't going to give up so soon. Dorothy asks what the group is doing in Hangmok Town, as they must have been recalled to Bai Chun Castle. However, one of the Crimson Blood members angrily corrects her, saying that they respond as all of them died and she was the only one who escaped. Dorothy realizes that they saw her during their respawn time and decides to end the facade, revealing her rude self. The team member gets angry at Dorothy, but Jeok Chan-Woon stops her, stating that he'll talk to her. Jeok Chan-Woon turns towards Dorothy and says that he never expected to see her again after the 7th floor fiasco. He then turns towards the dragon and asks him if he too was present in the 7th floor raid. However, he was neither a part of the raid squad nor did he belong to his clan. He questions who exactly he is, which worries Dorothy, as she thinks that Jeok Chan-Woon has figured out the identity of the dragon. The dragon answers that he's born of the abyss, followed by a lame punchline that makes everyone around cringe. However, Jeok Chan-Woon states that he knows exactly who the dragon is, which shocks Dorothy.